Go ahead, sorry.
Do they have Black Lives Matter specifically? Because I've been in the schools, I haven't seen, like, we fit all of that.
What? No.
Oh,
I've seen it.
So it's just Black Lives Matter is up on the wall, because I've never seen that.
If you go to certain classrooms, you'll find it.
It's
Okay.
in my daughter's
It's just
fourth.
alone.
It's in my daughter's fourth grade.
It's just alone on the wall with nothing by it.
In my daughter's fourth grade classroom is
Yeah, you won't see it in every classroom. It's not.
it's.
But it is
it's
there.
Not right.
Because every time I've seen anything like that, it's always been surrounded by everything else of everyone is included, which is
What
the
school
entire
are you at? Because I've been in several of them and I completely disagree with you.
I have kids at 4 schools and that's how it's always been.
Yeah, I've walked through a lot of them.
In
Can I just
Tessmer,
interject one
Woodbury,
thing?
and St. Clarke.
I'm a bit confused, the harassment policy versus the 102.1, that's inclusion, racial equity inclusion.
Yes, that was coming up next.
Right, so wouldn't that be where that would be addressed versus in the harassment policy, which is totally
Yes.
different?
It will be addressed there also. We'll talk about it then as well.
So back to the harassment, what is the issue with it?
I'm trying to pull the policy up now because I just don't.
525.
It's 522. I thought it was.
Yeah, it was 522. Just want to get to the wording.
So
Bear with
while
me.
he looks it up, how many folks here know how well the schools are doing academically?
We're doing what?
Measured by what?
Academically, like what the academic measures of our students are. How many folks here think that's the most important thing?
By far.
By far, right?
By far.
Okay. So I think part of the issue, at least from my perspective, is that we spend a lot of time talking about identity politics, racial politics, making kids feel welcome, or making people feel. But at the end of the day, the school is there to educate the kids. Period. If that part was done, if our kids were able to read, write, do science and math at grade level or above, then I think there's a discussion to be had about bringing other stuff in.
Have you read the studies on how if you don't feel safe and included, you actually absolutely can't learn?
Well, the problem is that they keep on telling those types of communities that they're not safe, so that puts that thought in their head. So of course they're going to feel like that.
And which one do you identify with so that you can speak
I
to it
identify
properly?
as a male.
Oh, sounds like privilege to me.
Yes, question.
I just wonder if there's, did I say yes? Hold on,
I was born a male.
let's let them, and I just have a question, and that is, if our, our test scores and all those things are amazing, why are we focusing so much effort on taking down science? Why don't we instead focus our efforts on improving those scores and helping to support our staff and our students?
And I would say that's the purpose of this group, okay, is to focus on academics and improve the outcomes of the students. That's the number one priority, okay? And that's gonna be.
Not safety?
What's that?
Not safety?
Well, safety's an issue too, okay, but academic outcome and improvement of students and readiness for graduation to the next steps
Kids
of
have
their
to feel
lives.
safe
If kids can't read,
in order to perform.
if kids cannot read, reading, writing, and arithmetic, if they can't read, they can't learn. Because you gotta read first and then you learn from reading. And that's where the priority needs to be, on the academic side of these students.
Do some academic research and find out you have to feel safe
In order to perform.
and belong before you can perform.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, kids have to be safe at home first. It's not the school's job to necessarily be the sole purpose of
But
making
they're
kids
how many
feel
hours
safe.
out of the day?
So at the end of the day, kids have to feel safe at home first. We are sending kids who are not safe at home, and you want the school to be basically a surrogate parent to these kids because they don't have a home. I had no dog in this fight until my kindergartner came home and said, "Mom, why are white people bad?" Completely, and this is a child who has always been told, you love everyone. This is a child who has always been told that she matters and she is to be the difference. And unsolicited, completely unprovoked, came home to me and said, "Mom, why are white people bad? And why do white people feel the need to be mean to black people or used to be mean to black people. And they said, you know what, honey, it actually has nothing to do with skin color. It has everything to do with ideology. And at the end of the day, she got it from school. She learned all about how white people are bad to black people.
So the teacher said white people are bad to black people?
You're asking a kindergartner. That's what a kindergartner to learn.
But I'm asking, was it from the teacher? Because they spend a lot of time talking about classmates. It could have come from one of them.
Well, then
Where
that's,
did it come from?
so,
If you didn't have that conversation with the child, then it sounds
oh,
like
well, they
that's
did,
on
but
you.
you wanna just keep talking, because you asked me a question.
Alright,
Where did it come
alright,
from?
hey,
It came from the lesson.
the
What was the
gentleman
lesson?
raised his hand politely. So one of the things here, okay, if you guys want us to discuss
Well,
things
what-
with you, we're happy to do that. Hold on.
Hold
Hold on. Hold on.
A direct question in response.
I
What was the lesson?
it's not your turn, it's his turn. So
Except
with
she was
manners,
talking and I-
manners and politeness will get you ahead, alright? So use some manners. Okay?
For everyone.
Okay, for everyone, actually, okay?
Thank you.
So manners and politeness. If we want to have a discussion, great, we can have a discussion, but let's have some decorum, let's have some manners, let's act like adults, okay?
Ryan, how would you like us to ask questions if you want?
Please raise your hand and we'll
Just
call in,
raise your hand, for
okay?
hands.
And try not to, we're not here to fight,
Yeah.
okay?
We're all here
So-
for our kids, we all
yeah,
have the same goals.
Right, so
Yeah.
let's, the way to actually bridge whatever divide we have is to listen and not interrupt people and not have an argument. That's not what we're here to do. I didn't take time out of my day to come here and argue with people, okay? So, please.
This is already getting kind of heated, so I'm going to speak for a few minutes here, okay? Whoever I am, it's my ability to speak, whatever, but we're getting a lot of new information about how kind of we're learning to understand history and absorb it and all that kind of stuff. So my concern here is, I understand it's kind of confusing and I want everyone to kind of keep in mind here. I was born and raised in this country. I'm a latchkey kid, so when you talk about, well, parents aren't supposed to do that, well, I know I'm probably not the only one given my generation that came home to almost empty house, made myself dinner, right? The school served a big part of that, and I didn't always feel safe. And a lot of times that was because the teachers that were out. And I think that's real important to note, is I'm a real human being, and that happened to me, and it happens to other kids. And the vast majority of teachers are white females, which I think is not always the best thing. I think it's a good thing. You get the best people that are qualified, right? So when we talk about DEI, I know that's one of those things that kind of come up with those hiring things. My kind of question about kind of some stuff you were saying is, right, even when my kids come home, and I talk about history, I love history, I'm a big nerd, so that's one of those things that got me throughout time. I love to read, I love history, and it's tough for me to explain to my kids, you know, when we weren't from here and like, why would people have treated us like that, and would we have been white or black when we were here? It's an uncomfortable conversation. One of my kids has a learning disability, so he doesn't understand and pick up on a lot of context clues. So I know he's having these conversations in school, and it's a difficult thing for him. It's a difficult thing for teachers to do, and there is that kind of balance. But like, I think the idea that it makes the kid uncomfortable and asks an uncomfortable question, and one kid says that all of a sudden we can't talk about these things honestly, is a problem. And it feels sometimes like that's the way this is being pushed. Is that we can't, if a parent feels like my kid asked an uncomfortable question, well, now this whole thing's gotta be thrown out. You know, if we talk about, you know, the history of Native Americans and what they've given here, it's not that they just came here and they were run over and they died. They contributed. And some of those contributions we know were purposely wiped away, right? The same thing with a lot of black, Asian inventors in America at that time, right? A lot of people that were slaves or descendants of slaves. They contributed in ways, and we'll never really know their names. And it's important we acknowledge that, and it's uncomfortable to talk about. But if we want to have the smartest kids that understand, they got to learn that kind of stuff. And it's tough to do, and it's tough to understand. Like when I was growing up, like I said, I love world history. How many kids are going to learn by the time they get through high school? If you ask them to name an inventor, they're going to name 5 Europeans. If you ask them to name an artist, they're going to name 5 Europeans. If you ask them to name a writer, they're going to name 5 Europeans. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? If we talk about ancient history, they're automatically going to picture Romans, right? All that stuff trickles through to have an unconscious bias effect. I just want that removed. I don't want DEI. I don't want to have to do these kinds of things where we're having to concern that. I don't want race to matter anymore.
as a factor. I don't want to be a measurable thing, but until it's not measurable anymore in results, we got to keep having this uncomfortable conversation.
Anybody else? Questions?
Let's do one question.
So,
Yes, sir.
you want to talk about academics.
Yeah, that's my
Do
primary
you
focus.
feel, based on studies, do you think 833 is behind anywhere else?
Yes.
So, the state of Minnesota, do you feel like we're behind in the state?
Relative to the rest of the country?
No, relative to the state.
No, not relative.
Not
So
relative to
do
the
you
state, no.
feel like the state is behind relative to the country?
Not necessarily.
No, it's not a part.
So
The problem
we're
is
ahead-
that-
our state is ahead of the country, our country is ahead of the state, or our state is ahead of the country, and our district is ahead of the state. So we're doing pretty good.
Is half
Right.
pretty good for you?
I'm just saying that.
No,
as a generality.
my question back
I
to
think it
Pete's
is
answer
excellent
is
district.
54% of kids that we graduate 92% of the kids.
Given the context of.
So
what
half of
they're
them
growing
can't
up in,
read,
I
write,
think
and
it's
back.
fantastic.
It's terrible.
That's terrible.
No, it's not.
So-
because-
I mean,
So, sir, with all due respect, a couple,
Well-
not 2 decades ago, we were in the 70s to 80s.
Yeah,
So,
and you and the website of this organization, which I researched extensively before coming here, both want to completely wipe away COVID. The website says that it's been too long, so we should just ignore the effect of COVID because it's not relevant anymore. Except the kids that are being measured now are being grew up in COVID. It's like the website says, 3rd grade reading level is huge for graduation rates. And all studies have shown, the younger you go, the more important it is. Well, if the 2 and 3-year-olds during COVID who didn't get any interaction, who didn't get any education because their parents had to work and they were stuck at home because everything was closed, those are the kids that are being measured. So 54% is fantastic.
well, I'm not going to relitigate COVID. We'll get to you.
She's next.
That entire system was a disaster, and a lot of us really tried to prevent it, but
Can I maybe try to
it
put some
came
more
through.
parameters
Hold on a
on
second.
this question? I'm sorry.
Hang on a second.
I think it might be easier to answer just kind of, can you maybe speak specifically about how we kind of raise the top and treat our most gifted kids versus like maybe the kids that are struggling and how we can kind of work those kids in the middle? Maybe that kind of adds some more parameters to the question. Sorry, I really didn't mean to interrupt, but there's so many ways that could go because it's such a broad question. Maybe if we speak specifically to kind of how we deal with the gifted kids versus the kids that kind of are struggling more and those kind of kids in the middle, that might give it some more orders, if that helps.
I don't necessarily, I guess, understand completely what you're saying. The bottom line is this, that the standards for which we have our kids aspire have dropped. Okay, the bar used to be up here, now we say, well, if you get to here, you're good, and the kids end up down here. And that's where we're at. Now we could debate, I suppose, the reasons for that. The entire country has gone that way. Minnesota's no different. Minnesota's always been a little bit better than the rest of the country, but nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that test scores have dropped, ACT prep scores have dropped, math scores have dropped, and reading scores have dropped. And that's the problem we're trying to combat. What we're finding, or at least what my understanding of the situation is that oftentimes the metrics for which they measure these things could change them over time. So it's hard to go back. For example, if you were to ask the superintendent, well, how do our reading scores as far as like what the kids are capable of reading at a particular grade level, how do they compare to 10 years ago, to 20 years ago? They say, well, the standards were different back then, so we can't really compare them. What we do know is that kids, for example, at a certain grade level are not capable of reading or comprehending the same as what they were. And it's demonstrable. Parents recognize it more than anything. So we know what's going on. It's hard to pinpoint it specifically why it's going on, how it's going on, and how to combat it.
I just want to speak to kind of the nuances, perhaps. You know, when I and then you say that
I'm not
that's.
saying I'm happy with it,
Hold on,
I'm
I'm on
saying
your side.
given the circumstance, it's great.
Hold on, I'm on your side. I'm on everybody's side, and we're all on the kids' side here. And I'm sorry if my voice shakes, but I'm not a public speaker. And you're unhappy with those scores. And I think we could probably all agree, there's room for improvement. You know, we all want there to be multiple solutions to this issue. Would we all love it to be in the 70s again? Yes. Let's collaborate in a way that makes that happen. And I'm a fan of the Swiss cheese theory, which is if we line up Swiss cheese slices together, you're not gonna have any holes if you look through them. So there's multiple solutions to every problem. And I think we should just all start with the understanding that we all want our kids to have a safe place to learn, and we want them to perform as best as they can. I personally don't think that all our welcome signs in the school are causing our kids not to be able to read. But I'm looking forward to hearing what your ideas or solutions are for helping our kids improve academic metrics.
One of the things I would say is we need to set the bar high.
Yeah.
Right? So,
What does that mean?
so maybe some of y'all are too young for Vince Lombardi. You're probably not.
But a lot of folks are probably doing that. But Vince Lombardi said, you're always chasing perfection. Why do you chase perfection? Is perfection attainable? No. But why do you chase perfection? So you can settle for excellence. Exactly. Okay. So to make people feel better, or so everyone feels welcome, or all these things, there likely are good intentions in many of those things. So it's not that I'm not against welcoming people, or that's not it at all. It's just we're focusing on these things that really are secondary or tertiary outcomes. What we really care about is, can our kids compete in the future global economy? And I'm here to tell you, many of them will not be able to. And the reason of that is because we have reduced the academic rigor to make people feel better. For an example, talking about the gifted and the tiered. I don't mean to be braggadocious, but my oldest boy is quite intelligent and is in advanced classes. He's in AP, he's in AP pre-calc, he's a sophomore, and he's taking advanced placement senior level math, okay? So I know that there are options for kids to get there. Part of the reason why he's gotten there is because of my wife and I helping him and being teachers also. Because someone had made the comment earlier, well, why do you want the school to parent your kids? Back in the day, that's not how it went. The parents are supposed to parent. The parents are the adults are supposed to be adulting. Right? The school exists to impart teaching strategies, knowledge strategies, a love for learning, being able to pull in as many variables as you can, being able to assess the variables of any given problem, which variables in this problem are the most weighted, which ones are nice to have but don't matter. So in the end analysis, we want the whole system to be better, because we shouldn't be acceptable. We should not accept that half of our kids can read and half of them can't. And it's even worse. Hold on.
You think we have
It's even worse when you start breaking it down by demographics. So for all the talk we have about achievement gaps and the protected classes and this and the BIPOC, this, all of those things, it's not doing anything to actually solve the problem. So the question, how? Okay. My view is we want to get the politics out of the school. The school should be neutral. It should not be for conservative kids. It shouldn't be for liberal or progressive or Marxist kids. It shouldn't be for these people or those people or this group or that group, because we're all human beings. We're all Americans. We're all in the same community. We all contribute to the same school. We all pay our property taxes. We're all invested in our children's future. So let's put the stuff that divides people away and focus on the actual core mission, which is educating kids, making sure that when they leave school, they are capable. If they go to vocation, they go to university, whatever they do, that they are capable and able to compete in the global economy. That is what the whole purpose of the school district is to begin with. And that is, so how to solve that? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. So I honestly can't tell you. If you do A, B, C, and D, all this will go away. That's not how it's going to be. It's taken a long time to get into the hole that we're in. But first step is to recognize we have a problem. It shouldn't be, we shouldn't just accept, oh, well, my kid feels safe, or there's some cool sign there that makes people feel good about themselves, but half of them can't read. It's not acceptable to me. I'm sorry.
So
Right.
the sign should go away.
I think we should pull politics out of the school.
How?
If you don't think that if you do not believe that there's a political bias in school, then either you have blinders on or you want the bias to be in school.
No, I'm saying, how
Okay.
is saying everyone is welcome political?
I'm not going to argue that specific thing because it's
Should
kind of
Should everyone not be welcome?
Why do you need a sign to say that?
yeah. Why would you need a sign?
Because there are people who don't speak.
Who tells them that though?
Society.
Parents, adults, and parents. So
Which is what Eric talked about, how his daughter in the school board meeting, matter of public record. Look in the mirror.
sure,
Yeah.
to an extent, sure. We're all guilty of the same thing because we're all human beings. So we all bring our own bias, right? That's true. But we should try to get the political stuff out. I ran as a school board candidate. Who remembers what my tagline was? Anybody?
Balance.
Balance.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, restoring balance. You should know. You were on it all the time, okay? So, seriously, it should be about balance. I'm not part of the school board to bring my personal conservative viewpoint or my outward libertarian viewpoint to school kids. I don't think that that's my place. My place is how do we get the kids to get to where they're supposed to be, period. Okay, so you guys ask questions. The lady over here was up.
Can I ask a follow-up?
She was up right here.
Sorry, but
Can I ask a follow-up?
you can in a second. Please.
So 2 questions. You mentioned again before about lowering the bar. Has 833 lowered the bar in your estimation? And the second question is, what, as you two gentlemen are school board members, are you doing to address the problem specifically then of raising that bar?
Good question. I think the bar has been lowered, yes. An example would be, how many folks here went to high school? Okay, I should see all the hands. Who went to public school? Okay, how many people got to take a test 3 times?
How many people what?
Got to take a test 3 times? Or keep taking the test until you get an A,
Oh, got it.
right? How many people when they were growing up got to hand in their homework 3 weeks later? A month later. Well, I'm teasing, but not really. Right? Seriously though. So I see it with my kids. I have 3 kids in the school. I have kids in elementary, I have a kid in middle school, and I have a kid in high school. I see what it is. Right? How many classical literature novels did you guys read in high school? A lot. How many are they reading now? None, really.
Is that right?
Right? Yeah, actually. Right? So they're maybe not none, but it's not like it used to be. Right? And so it's just not the same.
Is the world like it used to be though? But the world's not like it used to be either.
Well, and then the scores reflect that now, don't they? I mean, we spend the most money on public education and have the least ROI. So it begs the question, what are we doing?
Well, what is the history of education?
What is the history of
It's a
education?
very colonized system, right? It's to conform, right?
So now we're in the colonizers, I got you, okay.
You had a question.
So that's not something is based on district. I would love to know, and I really have no qualms with DEI in general. But my question is that the E in DEI is equity. And equity means equal outcome. The only way to provide people with equal outcomes is to deny certain children equal opportunity, and to give certain groups of children more resources and beneficial opportunities that would be denied to a different set of children. Where does 833 fall in that realm?
Do you have a source for that definition?
What's your source?
Because that's
So equity, in order to have things be equal.
just the
What's your
source.
source?
Oh, I just am
Equity
reading
is
what
not
equity
equal,
means.
though.
And
Yeah.
in order to
It's
have-
not the same
Equity is not the
definition.
same as equal, though, if you look them up.
You're also saying equity means equal outcome and not equal opportunity, which is what equity is usually talking about. It's the fact that
Right,
there's
but to have an equal outcome, you would naturally have to pull opportunity from the higher students.
It's not.
And,
It's not common.
yeah,
So I was a substitute teacher in South Wash for 4 years. And I can speak to this because I watched in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I watched the higher math classes go away. 3rd grade went first, then 4th grade, then 5th grade. I looked at one of the higher
math class teachers, and I said, what is going on? Why are they taking these classes away? He looked at me and said, I don't know, all I can think about is equity. That's what they did. They took those higher math classes away. Other teachers I know that taught those classes had to subsidize the kids that had those capabilities to do the higher math. They could no longer have it. My kids were never in higher math, but the kids that needed it, needed it. And so it was a disservice to them when they took those classes away. But that was why it was taken away, it was equity to make everybody.
No, that was the person.
I don't know, maybe that's what you.
There was no reason, why would you take those classes away? There are kids
I don't
that are
know,
better
you have
in
to ask the
math.
school, not a reason.
But yes, the teachers that taught the high math told me the kids now that needed it are bored.
Yeah, but.
So I'm not giving the definition of equity. My question was,
Because he was told, because this is what they were told that they had to do. It was just taken away.
But you don't know why. So you're just.
Why else would we,
when you're-
but why did we take it away?
Lack of funding, lack of funding.
It was not like
yeah, so that they.
My two fourth grades at different schools have level math, just so you know. One's in a high, one's in a low. Two different elementary schools in this district.
Okay, I raised my hand for this lady, okay, she's gonna read something. So, you give me the answer for the equity, okay? All right, okay?
He's looked up what the definition is and handed me his phone, so here we go. Equity means ensuring fair and just treatment, access to opportunities and resources for all individuals. Recognizing that people may have different needs and circumstances and working to address systemic barriers that create inequalities. That is an AI overview of what the context of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and what equity means. Thank you.
Okay, all right, everybody have an answer?
My question wasn't to debate what equity, the definition of equity. My question was, are opportunities potentially being pulled from higher to bring that level to middle of a more balanced achievement? Where like everybody gets a participation trophy type of a situation. Like, is that something that's happening in the district?
Yes.
I think that generally speaking, it's pretty apparent across the country that the emphasis on narrowing the achievement gap, okay? And by narrowing the achievement gap, we're not talking about lifting the bottom producers or learners or whatever you want to call them, the least performing students up, okay? But it's about going like this, all right? And if we can do that, at least we have less of an achievement gap, which, I mean, I don't know, I don't agree with that, obviously. So we need to find out why the lowest performing students aren't performing and address that. And there's a lot of reasons for it. But we can't close the gap by lowering those on the top.
The standard.
Correct. Yeah, hold on, because somebody over here.
I was just saying,
Sure.
let's talk about expectations and the gap. So yes, in the high schools, we have AP and we have honors. And you can take those opportunities, but you think of when you were in high school compared to the normal, like English class, you have to take honors to be at where we were in the 90s at a normal English, which means they did dumb down to normal general English.
What's your data?
Lower than
Experience.
what we were when.
Well, it's not data.
I think we should use real data.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that you can see, looking at the curriculum, I see what my kid is reading, the assignments, oh, it's just a fluff class. Well, you need to take honors then. Like, the basic class should be good enough and push the kids and have those expectations. You can read a novel on your own. Your 9th grade teacher doesn't have to read a novel to you. Right? Those are the expectations. My 3rd grade teacher should read to you, not my 9th grade teacher. Again, expectations.
So first of all, East Ridge, Woodbury.
Oh, dude.
Don't know about that. Don't worry, I'm Woodbury, bro. I got you. All right, thank you. You know what? I'm so 90s.
I'm used to being outnumbered.
I'm 80s.
I'm 80s.
I'm 80s, and my wife just left the room. It drives me nuts when my kids get the opportunity to take a test 2, 3, 4 times to get a better grade. And they're both really good in sports. And I, equate this to sports. Energy and effort. Energy and effort. What can you do? Both my kids are very above average players, but they're really good players because it's energy and effort. And that's where I bring in academics. I think we're all a lot closer than we think in this room. I think we're all a lot closer. We're in Woodbury, for frickin' sake. We've lived here for 20 years. I love this community. And there's people who I see bad-mouthing and all that sort of stuff, even though I'm very good friends with them. I think we're a lot closer than we think. But there's times where it's just like, you guys, energy and effort. That's what we need to do, and we need to hold our kids. I hold my kids accountable. In fact, I just yelled at them right now before we left. It's like, you make sure you get your shit done before you watch the NCAA championship game tonight. And that name, image, likeness thing too is, it's all about adversity. If we run into adversity, what do? Oh, let's go somewhere else. No, let's not go somewhere else. Let's hit it head on and rock and roll it and go after it. Adversity is good, okay? And we have, the funny thing in our cul-de-sac in Woodbury, we have Chinese Americans, we have African Americans, we have same-sex people in our cul-de-sac. My kids just know that, be a good person. And it's so refreshing to see them all playing in the cul-de-sac. I love that. They don't know any different because that's the way we raise them. It's like, be good to everybody because it all comes around.
Is there anything else you wanted to bring up, Brian, before we, because it seems like a lot of people are here to argue, and I think our purpose of having the meeting was not to start an argument, but to talk about what our goals were with this education. So, is there anybody?
Let's hear 'em.
I'm waiting. Is there anybody that hasn't had a chance to speak that wants to say something? Is there something you wanted to bring up, Brian?
We're gonna let Kevin have a question. We'll get to you. You've had your time. You've got to share. It's about equity. You have to let everyone have their time.
I have a follow-up to what we were, don't have to be condescending.
I'm not. I'm having fun with you. Oh, I'm teasing.
It didn't feel good. We don't know. It didn't feel good. Yeah.
So from the school board point of view, South Washington County District 833, it sounds like a lot of what is getting argued about is curriculum and how we deal with kids at different levels. What's the role of the school board in curriculum?
Well, the school board is really governance, it's oversight. I would like to see a little bit more emphasis from the school board on curriculum. Although that's difficult to do, honestly, because so I'm on the curriculum advisory committee, but I've only been to 2 meetings. This is my first tenure on that committee. So it's actually a pretty involved process to assess different vendors, you have to follow the statutes. There's a lot of things in place that don't make it readily available for a school board to come in and say yes or no. That's not really how it works, to be honest with you. What I would like to see, though, is, okay, so who here is familiar with balanced literacy? Yes, who's heard of balanced literacy before? Who here knows what that is? Right? How about the science of reading? Have we heard that one before?
Heard of it.
Who knows what that is? Okay. I bring this up because this is actually a curriculum thing, right? So back in the 80s, 90s, there was kind of like a method to teaching young people how to read. This is how most of us, if not all of us, learned how to read. So it was a scientific method, if you will. You study the phonemics, and here's your phonics, and here's your word association, and here's how you spell. You take your spelling test, you do all these things. Balanced literacy came in, I don't know, early to mid-2000s, and it was kind of implemented around public schools in the United States. And one of the things that they had the kids do is read the books with the letters. So how many parents here had kids that have the A book and the B book and the C book, right? So in and of itself, that's not bad. But what ended up happening is kids are being taught to use like the 3Q method. So They're looking at the first word in a sentence. They're looking at the pictures. These are all picture books. They're trying to determine what the story is trying to say or what they're supposed to infer from reading this thing. And then they start guessing at words. And so what ended up happening over a decade and a half to 2 decades is a lot of kids get left behind because if a kid is all about sharks, let's say, kid gets the shark book and they can read it pretty well. They know the word aquarium, they know the word fish, they know the word shark. So they got that pretty good. They get moved to the next book. But that doesn't really mean that a kid can read text at that level. So what ends up happening is they end up being left behind, especially if they have a learning disability such as dyslexia. Then it's really hard for kids to decode words. They're not learning phonics. They're not learning phonemics. They don't know how many sounds actually exist. They can't actually decode a word. So they get later past that 3rd grade, 5th grade. Now they're in middle school and high school, and they're always behind. And that then trends to everything else because Common Core, similar problem. You don't learn the standard algorithm until you're in 4th grade, which we all learn in kindergarten, 1st grade, whatever. But you have to read the math problem. You have to be able to understand the text of the word problem. You have to know what it's asking you to do. Kids don't know how to read as well as they used to. So now you're guessing. You're guessing at the math assignment. You're guessing the science assignment. So you can go play your tablet or watch your TV. That's what balanced literacy ultimately resulted in. So once it started becoming implemented in school districts around the country, we saw this decline in reading scores. And after 2 decades, San Francisco, hardly a Republican or conservative bastion in the United States, said enough's enough, and they actually pushed the science of reading, which goes back to what we did in the 80s and 90s. It's like empirical. You have to learn this part, then this part, then this part, which is the same for math. Instead of doing Common Core and solving 15 ways to solve a problem, here's the standard algorithm. Learn this first. Once you learn your math facts, then you can go to the next way. Then you can do base pens or rounding or these different types of things. So the curriculum question is a difficult question to answer from the school board because it's not like I can just come and say, oh, we have to do this. So I'm glad to see that we have the READ Act and that we're doing the science of reading. That's good. The question I have, though, is why do we have to pay all this money again to do something that we've already, should have stopped doing a long time ago, but why did we change to begin with? And those questions I can't answer. But it's good to have that kind of plan, do, check, act cycle where you go back and look, this is what we decided to do, and to be fair, the Curriculum Advisory Committee does do this, so it's good to see that. This is what we want to do, we're going to implement it, we're going to monitor it, and then we're going to change it. So to that end, it's good. From the school board perspective, I don't know what we can actually do anyway. So I don't have a good answer for you, except that I want people to know about that. Does that kind of answer your question? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a long-winded answer, but I think it's important to understand how some of these things come to be. Because one of the reasons why kids don't read as good now is because of balanced literacy. Is that the only reason? No, it's not. But it's a reason. We should know that. It's your turn.
Thank you so much.
Most
I have heard a couple different kind of vague statements about how to approach, these areas for improvement. Getting rid of politics from school, holding people to a high standard, but those are so vague. What are the actual items that we can do to help people to answer those questions? What does it mean to get rid of politics from school? What does it mean to hold someone to a high standard?
Let me ask you, what would you like to see done to remove politics out of schools?
It's your statement.
Yeah, I
I know, but I'm asking a question back to the question.
You can't answer it. You can't answer
I don't feel like that's the biggest problem that we're facing, so I don't have a solution for that.
Okay.
So that's, as a school board member, if that's what you're saying is the biggest problem, I would expect you to have an answer for how to fix it.
Pretty certain I didn't say that was the biggest problem. But I think it is a problem. It's not. So it's a problem in our society, is it not? Right? So
But we're not here to fix society. We're here to.
Yes, but our school system, our community is a microcosm of our society.
Yeah.
And within this microcosm of our society, we're trying to educate children. And it seems to me that part of the emphasis is to try to get kids to come along and be on one side of a political ideology. And so to that end, that shouldn't be what we're trying to do. Now, I didn't say that that was the number one most
Well,
pressing
you think
issue.
it's a big problem?
It's a problem,
Yeah.
for sure. My number one issue is that only half of our kids, well, really, if I'm gonna be honest, it's 53 or 54%, so pardon me for not using the right number.
It's fine.
But and that's not to say that teachers are bad, that's not to say that the school system is bad. So people tend to view things in a negative light, okay?
So what are we gonna do to make that number go up? That's what I'm asking. If you're
The
saying
number
it's
one thing we can do, in my opinion, is go back to merit. Because merit is the thing that grounds everything and everybody.
What does that
What does that mean?
What's your definition of merit?
Merit. Earn it.
What's your definition of merit?
But what does that mean?
Go beyond the main, go beyond the main.
I'm going to speak for a second. I have 3 boys, 2 13-year-olds and 11-year-olds. I've engaged with Ryan and this crew here. What got me most concerned about performance matters to me with my kids. When they can fail a test and take it multiple times, there's no consequences, no matter how hard I parent.
I appreciate that.
I can't make them care.
That's a specific thing that we could ask to be changed.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Which is
That's
not
what I
true.
wanna know.
Learn when you fail.
When I was in law school, you had 1 test.
You
Right.
learn
If
when
I'm
you
at the
fail.
For your
hospital,
entire semester.
if I'm at the hospital and I give
You-
someone the wrong medicine,
There's serious consequences if you do that.
thank you for that specific action that we
Let him
could
finish.
advocate for. I appreciate that.
So that's what got me engaged. I have 3 boys, varying levels of intelligence, varying levels of effort, varying levels of where they want to be in life. One of my sons, habitual late turnaround assignments. I'm like, you know what this means? He's like, well, let's get hand it in later. Like, eventually this matters when you're an adult. Do you think I at work the opportunity to say, you know what, miss that deadline? Don't worry, I'll get it to you. There's no consequences.
I
Is
appreciate
that why we're
that.
failing them?
It enables them
It enables them.
That's a fair
Enables
I
them to
can't
what?
make one of my sons care.
to turn their stuff in late.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the educational level. So if we're talking about the educational level, don't you want them to learn it? That's the research behind it, right?
No.
Like, I don't necessarily love that my kids, if they fail and they get to do it again, I'll tell you, I've stepped up and said that. We never did that either. However, when I stop and think, the only way that people learn if they get something wrong is they learn and they progress, and you do get opportunity. And the goal of education is supposed to be to learn and take that information away with you so you can apply it in the world. So if we just have them fail and move on, what are they learning?
That's the assumption that they are going to fail. If there are consequences out of the gates, they
I
understand
said
the rules
if
of the
they
game.
do. I'm not assuming that they do, but if they
understand the
do,
rules of the game. That there's finality to what I'm about to do. I need to take it serious the first time I do it. I can't
I
sit there and be
agree.
like, well, I gave it a shot. I tried.
I agree.
And then eventually repetition of the same topic. Well, you'll find the answer.
But
Eventually,
finality
you'll
of
pass
something is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the learning and taking the learning experience forward. So what I'm not hearing is I'm hearing all these different things that we don't like, but in the end, none of it really gets to the fact that they're taking these skills away. And like finality doesn't. Yes, at work, if I don't get something in, yes, I get in trouble. And I learned that. I learned that by not getting something done, right? So I won't do it again. That's not, school is about learning the education and be able to take it away. And I'm not hearing that
And
in
it
our
also
discussion.
builds, skills build on each other. So if they fail a test and there's no going back and being given opportunity, which I think most teachers probably view retests as learning what they missed. If they're not motivated to go back and learn, they can't learn the next step. Everything builds. It's more nuanced than just, you just take tests.
Right,
until
right.
you
We could
pass.
discuss the merits of that all day long, but I'm just saying that there isn't that level of finality that these children need to understand. Like, this is important. What is in front of you right now? There are no redos on. I don't remember ever having to redo a test or having the opportunity to redo a test.
Oh, I remember. I think I'm older than you, and we were able to probably for half
I got
credit
the facial training.
because it was important to learn the material.
Well, and can I
And
just
not
say one
just
thing
get
too,
it
though?
right.
This used to be through middle school. And I had a middle school teacher kind of explain it to me when I wasn't really understanding it, and I was like, okay, I understood it. And then, did it happen after COVID that they started allowing it in high school? Yeah. Now we're doing it in high school when they're supposed to be going off to college and know how to have responsibility, study the first time,
but they're being given extra chances in high school now. That's where I had a problem with it. I mean, the teacher that I talked to kind of helped me understand it in middle school and building them for high school, but now they can do it in high school.
But learning doesn't stop in high school. They still
No,
have
it
to learn
doesn't.
the
They have to
skills.
go to college, but they don't have mom and dad. They have to like make it on their own. They have to study. They have to take a test once. So I don't understand why it ever came into high school, because middle school is supposed to bring them with that for high school. So now they're ready to take those tests in high school one time.
All right, so, ooh, we've got 5. All right.
I want to speak to that, your thing. Most colleges now have a 5-year program for most areas of interest. And that 5 years is because they're not learning in high school. We should have them ready to go to college, so there is a problem. Okay. The other thing I want to speak to yours, that idea of letting them continue and that they'll learn if you know, as a teacher in the district, until about 5-6 years ago, the teachers, and here's where the politics play in. Teachers have no say in anything. They don't have a say in the curriculum. They don't have a say in the policies, basically. They don't. The people who make that up is the school board, and most importantly, it is the teachers' union. That's the big problem. I think we need to look at that. Offer our teachers more support, because right now, you know what they do in math and reading? Lesson 1 Monday. Let's get it finished. Lesson 2 on Tuesday. Regardless of whether everyone understands. It is, let's go here. We are on a prescribed time. And it's very hard for teachers to use their heart and their art of teaching these children, because they're not getting the support that they need. That's the biggest issue. And that is a political thing, because they're not given as much, I don't know what you want to say, equity, equality, I mean, I know the difference, but they're not even getting an equal say. That puts that in a political system. It really does. Politics is in there right away. As soon as a teacher doesn't have a right to say, I don't think I agree with this, that teacher can get fired, and it's been done. It has been done. And if you keep fighting and speaking up for the kids and saying, this isn't helping, this day-by-day prescription of teaching is ridiculous. Because we know kids fall behind. And we know, teachers know, those who are really good teachers know, their heart and their job is in bringing those kids up to speed. But we're not given the time. You don't know how many teachers I talk to, friends who are now still teaching, and they're just saying we're frustrated with this because we're being told what to teach by the union, by the school board, by the state. How, that's a political thing right there. The state is governing. So I would like to see us do more of, let's get some input from these teachers and say, how do you feel about what's going on in these schools? Because I can tell you, 60% of them, 75% of them are like, we hate it. This is not what we were brought up to do. We need to get that for them. You need to start sticking up. Parents need to start saying, this is not okay. I don't want my child doing day-by-day studies. Because they can't catch up. You're right. If we go one day, lesson 1, and then go to lesson 2 right away the next day, they can't catch up. We need to start with that. And we also need to realize in our testing scores and everything else, kids don't come to school all the same. They really don't come to school all the same. And you're expecting teachers, me at one time, to say, let's make them all the same. Let's put them all in the same area. Let's do all the same thing. That is not the way education works. learning doesn't work that way.
That is right.
That's
I
up
got
there.
it. What?
Yeah, why were you electing her?
Yeah, are you running?
Hey, I ran 3 years ago for school board,
So it's almost 8 o'clock.
and no one wanted me.
Missed opportunity.
Thank you. But, yeah, we have to start there, and that's what I've been saying, even when I was being elected, running. We have got to give teachers more say. That's where the deep political chasm is, right there.
So can we take a couple more questions?
Yep. So I think we're almost out of time. So you guys are up for a long time.
So, talked a lot about trying to raise the bar of expectation, and the one thing that we've heard a lot is basically limit chances. Like, don't have infinite retakes on tests, don't give them unlimited extension on assignments. Is there anything at like a curriculum level or any other things you're thinking about of how you can do that? Because it sounds like from like you with your son and a lot of the other people talking about that really kind of starts at home and that's where it pushes the kids. So at the school level, what can we do?
Project-based.
One of the things is let the teachers teach, be one thing, right? It would be nice, it would be nice if we didn't have a full monopoly of the school system with the unions, with the DFL, the MDE, right? If any other business operated that way, there'd be a lot of people very upset with antitrust laws and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm not saying that's going to solve everything, but let the teachers teach, encourage kids to make the best of the opportunity, right? So even when I was in high school, I remember, oh, this is dumb, why are we doing this? School sucks. They're not teaching us stuff. They're not teaching us the real history. They're not teaching us the real this, that, and the third. So there's a perception within some of the kids at school that education's not that important. There is another group of people who will think, well, it's fine, I can just take the test over, whatever, I don't need to study, I'm fine, well, whatever, I'll get a B, it's cool, I don't care, it's whatever, right? There's that. One of the things that has changed, and I'm not debating whether this is good or bad, it's just observation, is now most homes have both parents working, assuming that there's even two parents in the home, which is another big thing that's changed over time. So if you do have two parents in the home, both of them are often working. So there isn't as much time to spend with the kids and doing some of the stuff. Now, that's not an excuse. My wife and I work full-time. Both of us have over 40-hour per week jobs, and I have my own business, and I'm on the school board. So there's really no excuse as far as I'm concerned. So parents should care enough about their children that they're willing to spend the time, because the number one educator of children are the parents, first and foremost.
We need to be careful of that. We have many parents who don't speak English, who are way behind the 8 ball.
Well, yes, but that's a different problem. But what I'm saying
You
is,
can't force parents to put expectations on
I'm not.
it, though.
We would never force parents to do that.
No, you can tell parents they need to.
You can try, but you can't force them to. So
Well,
what can
exactly, we can't make
Yeah,
them.
so what can we do at the school level?
We can, project-based learning, there are all kinds of things that we can do to make learning a lot more effective than paper, pencil, test, book. Those tests have to go. They've been around for 12 years, they have not worked at all.
I'm sorry, which test?
The Minnesota Comprehensive, any of those testing schools.
But that's the measure.
A lot longer, and no one said, you know what, this is ridiculous. They don't work, let's find a new system.
But those aren't the tests you can retake, because that's just to gauge
That is true,
assessment levels. So
but that does assess kids, that's where they get their.
yeah, but that's not raising. Standardized tests sucks.
No.
All
right.
So we're about out of time.
Standardized tests sucks.
Okay, let's just talk about that and setting my expectations. That's what I did all the time when I was in school. And I got the lowest kids.
All right.
But
So a lot of questions have come from this side, so we're gonna go over here.
I have a question about the budget. So
Yes.
there's this looming deficit. The governor has come up with his proposal. It looks like about 1.3 million for this area of a deficit. This just came out a couple days ago. Do you guys, what are you thinking about how you're gonna handle that if we don't get our share of that money? Like, what, so we have all these problems, what gets cut when we don't get enough money?
I'm passing that one to you, man.
Is it just going to appear? Are we are taxes going up? Are we, so.
Those have to pass through a levy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the levy is already at the highest taxable limit as it is.
Right.
So I don't think the taxes will go up on this cycle, but I would not be surprised if by the next cycle it's being asked for more money.
Follow-up, are any of the mandates being considered by the state legislature to cut those?
Do you
Because
mean?
they gave you guys 65 mandates. And,
Yes.
and how many did they fund?
Not
Maybe-
65.
Yeah, maybe 20? Yeah.
That's a good question. That reminds me to see, okay, you guys might think this is funny, but I actually hate politics. So I tried not to follow it as much as I can. I should probably do my homework because I don't know the answer to that.
That might be a good question to bring up on April 12th. I think our representatives in this area are having some sort of town hall.
Education.
So, yeah.
One on that topic too, like with just federally speaking, the different funding being pulled for different mandates and things like that, are we affected potentially by those?
Do you mean President Trump's executive orders?
Yes.
I mean, it's conceivable.
It's conceivable. The
And that'd
school
be more
district,
like a state level, though,
the
right?
school district gets
And then it's
approximately $3 million from federal funding from the Department of Education.
Our district alone gets
Correct.
about 3 million.
3%.
I think at the last school board meeting, they were talking about like the funding, the budget projections, and they're accounting for some of those changes with those projections, right?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Well, do you guys want to make closing statements or anything, or?
Sure. I mean, you've had your hand up for a long time.
I just wanted to point out, when we were talking about it coming back to the, like, to the family, to parents, right? Like, there is a lot of control in that, right? That we have, it does start at home. I totally agree, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but when you were talking about the expectations you put on your children.
John.
John, thank you. And Kelly, you talked about it too, like, this is a thing that we have to do as parents. We have to be starting it at home. However, every time I've reached out to a teacher and said, I don't want my kid to have they were told to do their reading log, and if they're not gonna do it, then they get the consequence, they don't get another turn. That teacher's been like, hell yeah, that's what we want, but they're afraid to touch parents because of what's been happening for years before us. And so if you have that expectation at your house, if you communicate that to your public school teachers, they are gonna back you 150% because you make their life easier when you say stuff like that. And they don't have to retest your kid, and they don't have to give them all the whatever. They're happy to have that like parent at their back that says, your mom's not gonna let you not turn that in. Your mom's not gonna let you retake that test, so you better get it right. Yeah. And so if you don't like your kids retaking their test, tell their teacher. And they won't let them because that's their job, is to listen to what the parents want to do. So
I have no dispute for that at all.
Actually, that ties into what she was saying too. Is there a way to empower the teachers basically to push back against parents?
Absolutely.
And when they're saying, no, my kid needs the fourth, fifth, retry, have them say, no, this is the limit? Because I feel like that's kind of...
That's where it's coming
Well,
from.
and that's where I'm wondering, like, is there a way we can empower that?
You can go to the district, you can go to school board.
Come to a school board meeting and
And
you know,
say that.
and have some comments. Make comments to the board.
But the administration will not allow you to say that, to do that sort of thing.
Oh,
Very last question goes to John.
My kids are in elementary school, but if I'm like, no way.
No, they're saying the opposite, where the teacher's telling the
yeah,
parent no.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think it counts as school policy. I mean, how can
Yeah.
teachers, I mean.
But
the school
okay,
allows.
but can I just say, like, this is starting
I
at
get you.
it is starting at my home, but my neighbor might not have that same opportunity to give
Right.
that to their kid, and I want their kid to be able to succeed. So if that teacher is going to work with them and reteach the lesson and let them learn it, and then they get to retest, how does that impact my kid? It doesn't. So go for it. Retest all you want. What was that?
The teacher gets measured on how many people succeed through their curriculum.
Exactly. It's self-serving.
It is self-serving to say that the reason that these teachers are allowing this is because the teachers are graded at the district and school level of the number of kids that
You don't think
achieve.
I'm going straight to Julie Nielsen if my teacher's kid tells me no? There's no way that that teacher is gonna be able to tell me that I can't.
Well, that might be.
No, I'm not saying that you can't say that.
And
I'm
they're gonna
saying
follow
that
it.
that's how teachers are measured.
Can you expand more on what you mean by
I have one
that?
at home.
The teachers are
What?
being graded on
Teacher.
their kids?
That's out, I think what he's saying is that's like
Yeah.
the outcome, so if you're a parent, just say, that says, I don't want my kid to retake tests, like, we have rules in this house, they follow them,
Right.
I'm very much a parent like you. But when you have other students that don't have that parent backing, and I'm totally speaking for you, so tell me to be quiet, but I think I get both sides of this, is that those kids, if they can retake that test 3, 4, 5, 6 times, there is something about that learning that isn't clicking and happening. And by the 6th time that kid passes by a C, that teacher gets a C credit, even though really we're talking about potentially F teaching, because it took 6 times to get there. And this is something where like I really struggle because I see 100% like both sides of
Yeah,
this.
and I don't think so that's really the issue, is the thing, that if it's the teaching, that does come out in teacher evaluations, that comes out in a million other things.
Right, but if
So
we're
if it's
not
about the
actually
teaching,
having
then that's
kids
a totally different issue, but
Right,
what
but
I've been,
we're
Kelly,
not
can I
having
finish
kids
talking,
fail.
please? You and my new friend John both acknowledge that it starts at home, and that's, I'm just trying to agree with you. And so if you're gonna say that my neighbor has to have the same commitment, if they're on 14 school boards, working 38 hours a day, like, whatever, you know, if we're gonna make it this big thing, my neighbor's not gonna have that same opportunity, and it doesn't impact my kid at all, that kid gets
I
6 tries.
disagree, and I think that it does, because I think it
Okay,
makes
so
our
you haven't
teachers-
said that at all, you just keep saying how it's.
All right, we're gonna stop. Larry, go ahead.
Yes,
Larry, go ahead.
We're done.
Please.
Thank you. Not trying to be rude, but we'll just keep bickering and over and
I
over.
was trying to end on a positive note, it starts at home.
All right, my name